Hello, hello, hello. I'm not sure if anybody's here or not, but I didn't let too many people know in the first place, and I don't have a ton of. Well, I never really had a ton of subs in the first place, but yeah, um, I don't have many subs right now, so I'm just working on I don't know stuff. Um, I was going to come on here. No, I still might. I've been having a lot of trouble on here, but it's really not that big of a deal, to be honest with you. Kind of makes me mad, but yeah. But yeah, recently I was hearing things about the Maura Murray case possibly allegedly having an update, but police haven't said anything about it. So I'm not exactly sure, but apparently it was a suspect that's been known to keep hearing, but I had never heard the name before until now. Welcome, anybody like that's weird. There's people watching. Hi. But yeah, this is the supposed. Well, wait a minute, see if anybody else shows up. I guess. Hello, everybody. My name is Charles. Some people know me as necessary evil, but I'm not really evil. So yeah, I had another channel, but yeah, I kind of deleted it. So yeah, that was lousy. And I'm trying to get away from the whole Delphi community. I guess not the community itself, but I need to start working on other cases because all the stuff there is just kind of gets repetitive. I guess. And well, there is a couple of hitches and things or whatever. I do believe the right person is locked up for 130 years at that. So anybody want to have a poll or something and figure out if you'll make it the 130 years or not? I'm guessing not. Just kidding. But yeah, that's just a whole weird thing. I've seen to run it into a lot in cases out of Indiana. And I hear a lot about people being like, "What about the FBI?" Or they have. And there's just so many things that went wrong in this entire investigation, from the FBI to what is it, like 7 or 8 different law enforcement agencies all working on the case, including the GBI, and the fact that there was still this many oopsies is kind of scary, actually. But if you know anything about Indiana and its problems with cases, there was the Olympic coach that was molesting a bunch of the girls in the gymnast squad, and I know it's Jay something or what it, I can't remember his last name entirely, but the guy who ran that investigation into that coach and saw it's basically tried to help him cover up for his crimes, which was a whole hell of a lot of sexual abuse charges. Um, is the same guy that was running the FBI during the Delphi investigation. So a lot of people were like, "Why did the FBI? What did the FBI do? What's the problem with the FBI?" I have got nothing wrong or nothing personal, problem wise, with the FBI as a whole, to be honest. Unless we start talking about JFK, and that's a whole another matter. But if you got a badge and you're based in Indiana, I'm kind of to the point where I'm not going to have much faith in you, period. And I'm sorry if that makes anybody mad that hears that or whatever, but uh, I have personal problems with law enforcement myself down here in Florida. And to the point where it's kind of odd. I mean, I'll do more about this in another live, but my cousin was basically murdered in 1996, and in the process of it, basically, I was one of the last people that saw him alive at a store. Now, the guy that they suspect of killing my cousin, I actually had words with, and even though I was only like 15 years old, they threatened the guy and everything else because the dude was creepy as hell. And like I said, I have another live coming probably tomorrow on that with videos and everything else included. So that should be interesting. The weird thing about that is when they finally found my cousin, he was a missing person for about 11 years. And then in March of 2007, a surveyor was out checking out a piece of land where basically nothing else was on the road other than a dog pound on Arcadia Road, I think it's called, about 4 miles from where I live right now. And while she was out there surveying the land and stuff, she found a skull. And soon after, she found a second skull, and thus called the sheriff's department. Next thing we all know, the whole damn area is blown up with crime scene unit tape and all this other stuff, and gets roped off, taped off. You know what I mean? And this huge dumping area where people would dump carcasses and trash illegally and all kinds of other stuff. In the next 2 days of searching, within like about a football field size um, area, they were able to find the remains of 8 men. The first one that was identified just happened to be my cousin because, well, when it comes to persons, missing persons, and all that other stuff, you kind of have to be a pain in the ass. And if you are not, not much will get done. And it's like half the work, not more, you have to do in those situations. And I'm not saying anything against, okay, maybe I am. But the cases ended up linked to a serial killer that was infamous in the area around that exact same time. I guess in 91 through 96. Because in 96, he was convicted for one murder and sentenced to death row. And it was pretty much a rock solid case. They had evidence of the victim found in his mobile home. They had witnesses that saw him talking to the man that I also saw at the store later on. But this was for the one he was convicted of. The guy I saw was the same guy with the same car, the whole 9 yards. Um, all in all, they believe he's connected to not just connected. They believe he's the sole perpetrator of about almost 30 different murders, give or take, like 22 to 30. He's been convicted for one. Now, my faith in law enforcement died right away as a young kid when they sweet talked my parents when I was like 14 or 15 years old to let them talk to me by myself. My parents didn't know any better. They were very nice to them and stuff like that. And that's like, well, okay. 2 times in my life, I have been interrogated by the police. Luckily, both times had nothing to do with anything I did wrong. They involved the same case as in my cousin. And my biggest problem was when I was a little kid or whatever like that. They told me later that they had a good assumption of what happened to him because when they went to go to the store to get information from the shop owner and stuff. They heard about the car, the guy, the whole, all that good stuff. And they had already been hearing about someone just like this all, I think, 4 counties, 5 counties around here, because this nurse was going county by county looking for transients, drug addicts, and people that just looked like they wouldn't be missed, and then he would offer them a large sum of money to come take fake S&M pictures with him. Yeah, no, it's fishy as hell. Like a couple $100 back in the 90s. Wow, that would have been a lot of money. And So he would take them out to a wooded area or whatever, and pretend like he was going to tie them to a tree, sitting down. I guess they were made to remove their clothes at the same time too. And well, I guess he didn't really want fake pictures because when it came down to fake tie the guys to a tree, he really tied them to the tree. Then he proceeded to sexually assault the victims and use a knife to mutilate the genitals and then strangle them. I'm not quite sure which came first, the mutilation or the strangling, but it's basically sexual assault, strangulation, probably mutilation after, I hope. Um, all of the things he mutilated were never found, neither at the scene or anywhere else. But yeah, I got told by the county, even though I was witness, well, for one, they can't really trust me too much because I'm a 15-year-old kid, which yeah, I don't understand how that works because I know everything I knew back then, but okay. And his name was Daniel Owen Conahan. He's also, like I said, he's a nurse. He's from, I think, like North Carolina or South Carolina. That moved down here with his parents, and pretty sure he's kind of unemployed at the time during at least most of these murders. And it just became weird one day when, like, I think it was Port Charlotte, a dog came running out of the woods to greet its family at their home, and the dog had a skull in its mouth. They apparently the dog had brought other bones up in the last week or so, maybe a little bit longer. And family didn't think too much of it because, as I said, it was a wooded area, so lots of animals probably died there and all this other junk. So no big deal. But when the dog appeared with a skull, well, it kind of makes the shit change. And they called the sheriff's department for Charlotte County to come out to their home and they investigated. Well, they told them one, yes, that's definitely a human skull. So they went and checked inside the woods and they found more remains from a victim, and then not far away they found a second victim that wasn't skeletonized like the other one was. Apparently, there was still some flesh and all that other good stuff on it. Basically, that's Daniel Conahan's MO or whatever. He's one of your types of killers that like to return and add to his art collection, basically, or a nesting killer is what they call it, I think, because he takes all his victims once they're dead and basically lines them up in the same area so he can return later on with new victims, or if things were just not working out, he can go there and just have his good old memories, I guess. And at this point, it was like 94, 95. Well, I think it was Port St. Lucie or whatnot, which is a couple counties down from us. They found two or three more victims, also mainly skeletonized as well. And back in Port Charlotte again, all of a sudden they found two more bodies. The first one was once again skeletonized. He had been dead for months. And the other one was identified it as a man named Gerald. I forgot to get all the names down pat, but he's the one that he was convicted for because apparently he had only been out there for a matter of 3 or 4 days. So we had a fresh victim, still had skin and all that other good stuff. So the cops were able to look for evidence. And at first, and I know I'm skipping ahead and back and ahead and back, but in 2007, when they found the 8 victims in the football field size lot that I'm talking about, including my cousin, at first they thought it might be a funeral home that got shut down because there was two of them at the time. There was one here in this area, And people think that since their crematoriums ovens or whatever went bad, that they were just tossing the crematorium uh, bodies into this dump. And the other thing was an Alabama funeral home had completely shut down, and the cops also thought to themselves that they were taking people that were there and just hiding them somewhere, which kind of weird because it's a really far away to take bodies. But yeah, so but there became problems and issues and all kinds of other fun stuff because I don't know, I call them the Fort Myers Eight. Now the press also calls them the Fort Myers Eight. So I'm not sure who dubbed it after me or whatever, but yeah. Um, and the victims that were already established at that point, because as I said, by 2007, Daniel Conahan was on death row at Braceford Prison. I forget the prison's actual name, but the city that it's in is called Rayford. If y'all know Ruckus Rocks or whatever, he used to work death row there. One second. So yeah, he lives about I think about 3 hours away or whatever. We got to go harass a serial killer sometimes and something like that. And they started finding things in common with the bodies that were found in 2007 because the more they were able to identify and give a cause and time of death, or at least an estimated version of it, they were always coming up with the same area of time around 95 or 1996, which kind of clicks, at least at the moment. They've only identified four of those victims out of the eight. And out of the 15 or 22 or so other ones connected to Conahan, which there's so many, a lot actually stayed going live. Yeah, sorry about that, everyone. I had a problem with the internet and it just went retarded. But I'm back now. But yeah, as I was saying, I'm sorry, everything's basically a pitch black screen at the moment in time. Maybe not tomorrow, since I plan on doing one of these every night. Because I have a lot of cases, a lot of cases. I can think of at least 40 or so just in my area, so in my county or in the neighboring counties. Or, um, but as I was saying, I don't have too much faith in much of law enforcement. I do believe there are a lot of good ones, and I also believe that they do their job, they take it seriously, and they try their best. And as long as they're trained properly to do what they are supposed to do, um, problem with that is when it comes to somebody that's already been convicted of anything, especially already of one murder, mind you, when you have like 30, 20 to 30 something victims, and you guys convicted of one, and you have sufficient evidence to convict at least for a few more. I mean, I know it costs a lot of money to go to trial and stuff, but I believe that victims, families, and stuff need that kind of closure, I guess. But since he was convicted in 1996, at the very end of it, actually, and sentenced, I believe, in early 1997. And he has been sitting on death row now ever since, which would be about 29 years, something like that. And I think the only bit of closure we might actually get, I have heard rumblings on recently that they are about to give him an execution date sometime this year, or probably next year, actually. He's almost 71 years old now. He still looks the exact fucking same nasty bastard. But as I said, I'll be talking about this more in another live soon enough. And, well, the videos and all that other stuff. And it's just a weird process or whatever like that. Figure out a way to make the trial cost less or whatever, because it's the government that overcharges and overpays for a lot of things that are used in these, because they have contracts with outside corporations and all that other stuff. And I know it's a weird thing to hear somebody that actually met a serial killer, but honestly, it's not that weird here, because I live in a cursed area. I know it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but oddly enough, I kind of run a subreddit. Technically, it's mine, but in reality, I kind of forgot my password, so I can't really access it. But it does have a lot of cases just from my county alone. And this is used to be a small area, so when I say that I'm connected to a case somehow or some way or whatever, it literally means that. And it's not the first serial killer I've ran into. In fact, it would be the second. I My stepdad went to high school at North Fort Myers with a man by the name of Paul Klein, and Paul Klein was a very bad schizophrenic. And usually, schizophrenia, you have one of three different ways, and that is you're either homicidal, self-offing, or kind of normal, just weird. And apparently, since my nephew is the second one, Paul Klein would have been the first one, because they tend to go off the grid and kind of crazy when they taking off their meds. Um, I'm not saying all of them. I'm not saying all schizophrenics are into murders, but um, Paul Klein was into four possible homicides, maybe a fifth one. There's still talk on that. but a homeless man was found behind Walmart, which he had seen Paul at many times, um, because that's where he worked at. My stepdad was friends with him and stuff, so we'd say hi whenever we came in. And the name given to Paul Klein back in high school, nickname I guess, and later on became his serial killer name, was he was called Popeye. I know that sounds weird, but apparently, like your part of your arm above the wrist, but below the elbow, was significantly larger, like malformed compared to the rest of his arm. If you ever see Popeye the Sailor Man's cartoons, when he first eats spinach, uh, that part of his arm kind of blows up and looks weird compared to the rest. Yeah, I guess they used to bully him with that stuff at North Myers High School. And at the same time, Deion Sanders and Mike Greenwell also went to the same high school. And it's just a weird kind of process. But he stopped taking his meds, he killed his best friend, and then he murdered his parents, adopted parents, and I think one of their friends, all as well, and tossed their bodies off of Hancock Bridge Parkway, which is another area in Norfolk Myers. It's not far from Norfolk Myers High School in Walmart. And but unlike Conahan, who was sane and everything else, um, they deemed Klein either he was found not guilty by insanity or just not deemed fit for trial. Either way, he was then sent to a criminal mental institution where he should be still to this day. But seeing all the cannibals and stuff that has been released the last few years, it would not surprise me to find out Paul Klein has been free for a long time. So it's something I need to figure out as well. And but back to Conahan. Um, when the four miners eight were found, including my cousin, because they had a profile DNA or whatever it's tested against, I guess. Um, when I reported them missing and stuff, and what had like I said, John was the first one of the eight that was identified. They linked it to Conahan because he had two victims that got away. One was a now known convicted pedophile named Stanley Burton, who was also a transient and like moved around like a wanderer or whatever, hobo or something, you know. And apparently, Daniel Conahan's car, well, his parents' car, got stuck in near the Fort Myers 8. And if you were still go about half a mile farther where Conahan was got stuck at, you would be right where they found the Fort Myers 8 victims. But just like the other hog trail murder victims, that's